I am welcoming you all of them to my channel. In this lecture, I am going to talk about extraction, liquid extraction of inorganic metal ions. Extraction of inorganic metal ions. Normally, we are preferring to use liquid extraction procedure, which is highly efficient technique to separate inorganic metal ions than conventional techniques such as precipitation. Because precipitation, there is a problem associated with the co-precipitation as well as post-precipitation, and the efficiency is not that much high in compared with the liquid extraction technique. So we are preferring that will be the most important as well as efficient technique compared with the conventional precipitation methods. In case of when you come to inorganic metal ions, we have a very large number of metal ions which are present in the system, in our system. How does inorganic metal ions can be separated by liquid extraction? That I am going to discuss in this lecture. First one, ether extraction. Ether extraction of metal chlorides and metal nitrates. By making use of simple ether, we can extract metal chlorides. Of course, it is not can be used for all system. This will be, ether extraction by making use of metal chlorides and metal nitrates will be mostly efficient for, especially when you come to the system of iron 3, gold 3, gallium 3, titanium 3. These are some of the species can be easily separated by using a single ether extraction. So if you have, for example, you have an iron which is present in steel or maybe iron ore. If in case any of them have iron, normally this kind of iron ore having an impurity of aluminium, chromium, nickel, titanium, these are some of the impurities always associated with the word iron. So if you made a solution of 6 molar hydrochloric acid, here the concentration term 6 molar is very important. If the concentration term, the concentration should not go lower as well as higher. For example, if it has gone to 3 molar HCl, this method will be not efficient. Similarly, if you have gone to 9 molar HCl, again this method is not efficient for extracting iron 3 from the mixture. So, if you made the system with the 6 molar HCl and then if you add ether, what happened? Iron 3 will be extracted in ether. Iron 3 extracted in ether. Ether layer. In the form of ion pair contact. In the form of ion pair contact. That is H3O plus Fe(Cl4). So these impurities, especially aluminium, chromium, nickel, that will not, even though that can form a chlorides, that can't be extracted in the organic ether solution. It will be only exist in the aqueous layer. It will never come. That only iron 3 plus is selectively going to the ether layer and can be almost 99% will be extracted by single ether extraction. Okay, the similar procedure, you can follow the same procedure for nitrates also. Again, what happened? All nitrates will never work with this ether extraction technique. Only some of them can work. For example, uranium can be extracted. Uranium has various oxidation state that we know. Uranium in +6 oxidation state can be extracted, as well as bismuth also can be extracted with some extent, with bismuth and iron 3. These are some of the extent can be extracted by making use of single ether extraction. For example, you have a system with uranium, and also you have some impurities such as thorium as well as lead. Okay, so then what happened? If you made a solution with the ammonium nitrate solution, and again what happened? You have to use nitric acid. Concentration again 1.45 molarity. If you maintain this concentration, what happens? From the aqueous solution, all these things will be in aqueous solution, aqueous layer. If you add an ether, what happened? Selectively uranium 6 will be extracted. Uranium 6 is extracted into ether layer. The impurities such as thorium or lead will be never extracted in the ether layer. It will be never interfere, because what happens? Selectively uranium 6 will be extracted into the ether layer. So this is one of the efficient technique for separation of inorganic metal ions. But of course, I already said that one, this technique is not suitable for all metal ions, because there is some of the lack of disadvantage, because it can't be used for all metal ions. Depending upon the metal ions, when you change the metal ions, what happens? This will be inefficient. For example, in most of the cases, aluminium can't be extracted from the aqueous layer. Whatever you can use the organic solvents, aluminium can't be extracted. Similarly, nickel also can't be extracted from the aqueous layer to the organic layer. So what happens? This will be selectively work. Only some of the metal ions can be worked with the ether extraction. Now I am going to discuss another method that is very efficient method that can be followed for separation of metal ions, which will be in the form of chelation. Chelation. Or we can say you can use any kind of chelating ligands, or you can use complexing ligand. That ligands can selectively bonded with metal ions and then form a complex that can be extracted into the organic layer. So normally we have various kind of complexing agents, or you can say chelating ligands. For example, oxime, or you can say another name 8-hydroxyquinoline. So such kind of complexing agents can be used. Most of them are, if you take this will be kind of weak acid. (8-hydroxyquinoline). So, and you can also have dithiazole. Is another kind of complexing agent. Okay, dithiazole means you have a functional group of C double bond S, and it has two kind of units which is present in the system. One is NH kind of system. Okay. So these are some of the complex. You have also an EDTA. These are some of the examples. Such kind of chelating ethylene diamine, and crown it. Such kind of complexing agents can be used to selectively extract the metal ions. That will be the most efficient technique. For example, ditisone will be selectively, it will be mostly worked for most of the transition ions as well as lead ions. For example, you just take an example of Pb2+. Pb2+, if you react with them, what will happen? It will form a complex. Can you just see that how does the complex will be? Okay, you can see this one, how nicely it is chelating and then forming a 5-membered ring in the complex, because the lead 2+ can be nicely complexed with ditisone. This is one of the, because in this case you can see that one, when you have taken the ditisone as well as the neutral complex of lead 2+, both of them can be soluble, because these are not charged species, it is an uncharged species, as well as it is an organic ligand. So both of them can be soluble in organic solvents, and the Pb2+ will be in the form of aqueous solution, because metal ions will be more in the form of more soluble in the aqueous solution. So Pb2+ from the aqueous solution can be selectively extracted into the organic layer in the form of complex, because once Pb2+ formed a complex, what happened? This charged, uncharged complex will be never soluble in aqueous solution. So in that way what happened? Otherwise, if it is not soluble in aqueous solution, sometimes it may be precipitated, but it can be easily separated out from the aqueous solution. So this technique can be used to efficiently remove the metal ion from the aqueous solution. Now I would like to show how does 8-hydroxyquinoline, because now let me know how does pH roles an important role for the extraction of metal ions. Let us take a system. You have a weak acid. You have HQ. HQ stands for hydroxyquinoline, which is present in organic layer. Okay, which is in equilibrium with the aqueous layer, HQ, in aqueous. In aqueous, hydroxyquinoline can be dissociated into proton and quinoline. Aqueous, again aqueous. What happened? It can react with metal ion M2+. Maybe just take an example of zinc 2+ to form a complex MQ2 in case of aqueous plus 2 proton also will be in the form of aqueous. So this will be in equilibrium with the organic layer. MQ2 will be in organic layer. So you can see this one. This one will be in organic layer. The other one will be aqueous layer. So four important things happening in this process. Hydroxyquinoline will be distributed between the organic and aqueous layer. Second thing, hydroxyquinoline is acid dissociated. It will be dissociated into acid as well as corresponding conjugate base quinoline anion. So the third one will be the anion reacts with metal ion to form a coordination complex, which is again what happened? Uncharged complex. That uncharged metal quinoline will be in equilibrium between will be distributed between aqueous as well as organic layer. So now what happened? I am going to write an equilibrium constant for this process. So overall process will be considered as hydroxyquinoline in organic layer will react with metal ion in aqueous solution. You need two equivalents of hydroxyquinoline to form a complex of MQ2, then 2 proton in aqueous. MQ2 will be in the form of organic. Okay, now I can write this one. I can write an equilibrium constant for this equilibrium K prime, which is equal to concentration of MQ square into proton. This will be in organic layer, proton, aqueous and square divided by concentration of metal ion in aqueous as well as HQ, hydroxyquinoline in organic square. Normally, when we are going to do such kind of system, the complexing agents we will take always excess. So, compared with the concentration of metal ion in aqueous, the hydroxyquinoline concentration will be very high in organic layer. So, what happened? This HQ, the concentration of hydroxyquinoline will be considered as constant. That will be never changed with respect to metal ions. So, we can call this constant will be called as another constant, which is called equilibrium constant. Again, what happened? Will be equal to concentration of MQ to concentration of proton square divided by concentration of metal ion aqueous. Okay, I can rearrange this equation in the form of simplified manner. Concentration of MQ2 in organic layer divided by concentration of metal ion in aqueous layer, which will be equal to equilibrium constant divided by concentration of proton in aqueous layer. Okay, so you can see this equation. It is very clear that the ratio of metal ion content in organic as well as aqueous layer will be inversely proportional to the square of hydrogen ion concentration. At the same time, equilibrium constant is different for each and every metal ions. For example, aluminium has one equilibrium constant that will be never matched with the other metal. For example, Pb2 plus has other equilibrium constant. So each and every metal, because these differences make you can efficiently separate one metal ion from the mixture of ions. So if you have a solution, you have an aqueous solution which has various metal ions, okay, which has various metal ions. If you properly buffered, because it is inversely proportional to proton, so if you properly buffered, then what happened? You can selectively extract one metal ion from other metal ion. So one of them can be selectively extracted into the organic layer. Then what happened? You can extract other metal ions from the mixture of solution. So I can conclude that pH dependent, pH controlled extraction technique, pH controlled extraction technique is efficient. Extraction technique is efficient for extraction or separation of metal ions. Separation of metal ions. pH controlled extraction technique is efficient method for separation of metal ions. By changing the pH, you have in unknown solution you have various kind of metal ions. All metal ions can form a complex with hydroxyquinoline or maybe EDT or any kind of, can use weak acid such as chelating ligand. What happened? By properly buffered the aqueous solution, you can selectively extract one metal ion from another metal ion in the aqueous solution. Thank you very much for all of them participated in this lecture.